Sweet. So, okay. Yeah, my chat's saying that the audio is fine on our end.
Okay.
So,
Someone said it's
so
good here on mine, so I think we're good to go. So you're the chess expert. So let's go ahead and I guess introduce. So for my stream, this is Vampire Chicken. He is a chess instructor. He's going to be teaching me chess today. And then yeah, I guess you can just introduce me.
yeah, so I'm very excited. Yeah, Clossius here. He's going to be a big Go expert a little bit later, so it's gonna be fun. I know Clossius has actually been playing a little bit on us, so I'm gonna be looking up. I'm looking at your stats right now. So yeah, he got all the way up to 1136. I think when he started, 1,000 or something, or at least
Yeah.
1,000. He's been playing a lot of rapid games. It looks like so. I think it'll be really interesting to see. I think we should play a couple games together, and I think we just play one or two games. Where you are, we can play a nice, really slow game, and this will be just kind of a nice little chess lesson, and see how it works out. Hopefully, it goes well.
Awesome. Sounds
I'm
good.
going to challenge you. I'm going to turn my alerts off actually too.
Okay. I will just wait here until something pops up on my screen because I'm still new to the website.
So, what time control has been comfortable?
I've been using 10.5 and 15.10 in the rapid. I felt like 30 was just overkill considering I don't even know what to think about yet. So I've just been like, okay, let's just practice the
Okay,
basics.
yeah, we'll do 15 plus 10, but we can add time too.
Okay.
I'm going to do something very unusual for me. I'm going to make it a casual game.
They're
But
saying in your chat I'm very quiet on yours.
okay, so you guys have a hard time hearing him? Is that what it is?
Okay, so
Let's see.
I just let me know when you're ready, and I will just wait.
So let's see. Yeah, I've cranked you up there. I've cranked you up here. Yeah, so go ahead and talk, and we'll see if
Okay.
everything's all right. Then
2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Can you hear me? Do I sound great?
Thanks for
sounds
doing
great to
this,
me.
guys.
Ooh.
Excited for more
All right.
chess.
Oh,
Go
thanks, CL Smith.
collaboration.
Oh, thanks,
All right,
CL
so
Smith.
yeah,
He did that to both of
I
ours.
think
That was cool.
yeah. So whenever you are
Yep. You ready?
ready, let's make a first move. We'll go nice and slow.
Okay.
I'm definitely free to talk about the openings here. So I'm assuming at your level, what you've seen most often is the move pawn to e5. Probably, which I'm just going to play because I think this is what beginning. Most up a little bit people here.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you play knight to c3. It's very interesting. It's nothing wrong with this move. Most people do prefer knight to f3. If you're looking at my screen, you'll be able to see my arrows and everything. But most people are going to play knight to f3 because it does attack that e pawn. Knight to c3 is interesting. Sometimes people follow it up. I don't know if you're a very aggressive guy that's going to play f4 next, really attack my center, or f2. I'm just going to play a nice normal move, knight to f6, my stuff.
Nope. I just get both my knights out, and I just didn't know the order mattered.
Sweet. So yeah. So most often this will lead. This is one of just. I mean, hit upon this opening. So it's not always necessarily a plus to have this knight on c3. And one of the reasons is now I'm going to play knight to c6. This is the four knights, which is totally fine. You did mention at one point that you like bishop to c4 here, but there is a little trap. Bishop to c4. There's a little trick that happen.
Now I'm scared to play it.
Right. Yeah. So bishop to c4. There's definitely a little trick, which.
Okay. I will just learn the trick.
Okay, so yeah, if you play bishop c4, which is obviously the natural move, you want to put the bishop on this diagonal where you have pressure on my f pawn, which is one of the biggest weaknesses in my camp. It allows this little trick. Knight takes e4. Okay. So the point is, if you take back with the knight, which is not the only move, if you take back with the knight, we'll play d5. I'm going to get one of my pieces back, and I've opened up my position, so now both of my bishops are already looking very good. So it's not the end of the game or anything, but I definitely have a
and now it's a fork, and I can't take.
So yeah, you can take or you can retreat and protect your knight.
But if I take, your queen will get me.
And my queen actually will be doing okay in the center.
Okay. What if I go here?
Okay, so yeah, this looks actually does look pretty interesting. So I'm down a piece, so I do have to take this knight.
Okay. Then I'll take.
Okay, so you take back. So again, I'm in check, so I have to take your bishop.
Okay, and then I go here, and it's an even.
So now you're in my
trade.
territory with your knight. I'm looking around, and what I'm trying to find is there a way that I can actually trap your knight? I've also spotted a double attack. I can play the move queen to g5. Should be some sort of issue with your knight being early. Queen g5 looks like a pretty strong move to me. Also, just kind of centralize, play queen to d5. A lot of ways of potentially attacking this knight. So I think I'm just going to play aggressive. I'm going to play queen to g5, attacking your knight and the g-pawn. You're going to save them both. So I'm already asking you some tough questions.
Okay. So first, I tried to write my own Clossius approach, which was where am I weak, where can I be captured, and then where can you be captured and stuff. That was sort of trying to learn how to play this game. So
and that's definitely at the beginning. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be about developing board vision, which is basically where your pieces are and what is attacked and what's not. Okay. So you're attacking, for example, my c pawn. I'm attacking your g pawn, and I'm attacking your knight with. Yeah, that's a very good idea. You're trying to just keep track of what is attacked.
Okay, so I want to move. So I'm gonna walk through my thinking, so that way you can tell me if I'm wrong. Sure. So my first idea is I want to defend my knight with a pawn, but I'll get en passant. I think. D4. So I do pawn to d4. I get en passanted. I think that's what it's called. Then I can take that pawn with my queen, so it's technically an even trade, and then my bishop will be poking your queen. However, that does leave my king floating, which is a little bit annoying. So I'm trying to think of how I can defend that knight with another piece, but that is also protected by something else, or if I just need to run the knight away. That's my thought process.
And so there's usually three ways of dealing with it if your thing gets attacked. One is block, which is not an option here. You're not going to be able to block my two main ones that are, it's always going to be either move away or defend it. So yeah, d4 definitely is a very strong candidate upon. It defends the knight and it attacks my queen. So I don't even have time for en passant. En passant, I'm going to lose my queen.
Oh really?
So for that reason, it does look, yeah. So it looks like a
oh yeah, because of the bishop.
Move.
Because of the bishop, yeah. I forgot to take that into consideration.
And then the other options of running away, you could, for example, take on c6 because it at least takes a pawn. Your knight still is kind of hanging in my territory, so it's a bit risky.
I'm considering c6 over the d4 simply because I like counterattacking more than I like defending personally. But of course, I don't know if there's a preference or a better one. But I don't see a reason not.
So I'm looking around too. I'm looking for. Will I have some immediate? Whatever you do, I'm going to take your G pawn.
Oh yeah, there is that G pawn. There's a G pawn problem.
Yeah, then it's going to be game over pretty soon here. But
the game's over pretty soon. I'm like, I thought I was up a pawn.
Yeah. So yeah, your knight came in a little bit early. This is the fork trick. But yes, I'm taking here, which attacks your book. Very sly threat. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I want to. Okay, so my rook is in trouble. So I want to defend the rook while also defending the pawns. So I think just moving my king up is good. That defends everything.
So yeah, so I didn't consider, but it actually aligns your king and queen on the same diagonal. So a huge part of finding tactics is alignment, like just the alignment of the pieces. So when you go here, I do just notice right away, you're on the same diagonal. And I have this bishop.
Oh, bishops. I forgot those. Crap.
Yeah. So yeah, this is already just trouble now.
I was thinking if you tried to, I forget what it's called, do this with your queen, I could just move my king out. And then if you took my queen, I would get it with the rook. I forgot about the bishops though.
Right.
I always forget the bishops.
Yeah, and it's definitely difficult because I got 16 things at the start. You got 16. There's 32 things on the board, so keeping track of all of them all at once is very, very difficult. And yeah, I'm feeling kind of mean. I can go here. It allows deep. So I'm looking at the move. Bishop to c5. Develops a thing. Obviously, just taking your queen would be enough. But I'm trying to be mean, see if I can find a quick checkmate. Bishop c5, maybe you just have deep. Just going to take your queen. This is keep it simple approach.
Okay.
Take your queen. And now I can get your king running many different ways. Obviously, queen f3 check will attack your run away. I'm going to throw this check in. If we can just hunt down the king.
Okay. Oh, the queen's blocking the pawn. Okay. I want to do something. I know trading's normally not good, but I think just running is bad.
So I'm just going to keep hunting. You're going to have to make a lot of uncomfortable moves that you don't really want to. Go here, attacking your rook again.
So here, I guess.
Okay, so you're running around. Just gonna grab this rook.
What do I do?
Yeah, I mean the game is it's gonna be over here pretty quick.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, there's not much more commentary now.
Can I counter checkmate? I've been doing these problems that can trap you in the corner, and I'm trying to see if I can do it or not. I don't think I can do it without a rook, though. I think I need a rook.
Yeah, that was just a bishop and the knight. They can mate, but my king is actually very safe now.
Oh.
One of the targets is my g pawn. If you really wanted to, you know, your bishop and knight could try to attack my g pawn, but so you're never really going to be able to make any threats. You're safe.
You know, if my opponent wasn't like a 2000 player.
Right, then then obviously you're playing other people that are 1100. Just never resign this because you'd be surprised.
Oh, you're just gonna get into the queen.
Often they actually mess it up. I'm gonna run get another queen.
I don't know what to do.
Right. So yeah, if I do this right too, I'm just never ever gonna even give you chances. So that's also kind of important. Like when I am winning like this, I'm always still looking at what your resources are and how I'm gonna just to try to make you don't get anything close to having this is a winning. Ask your knight to move. You could obviously make a queen and just win some material that way. But
I'm
trying to get these. I'm trying to get these rooks in the game here. I'd be able to just checkmate you with what I got. Otherwise, backup plan, make a queen and win some.
So I'm supposed to go to the center, I think.
Okay. Let me get this queen active. And a couple of rooks. Be able to hunt you down.
It doesn't.
My stuff. Very good.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but hey, it's a good tactic. Take my rooks.
So I can, if I check, you move there, and I don't have anything else because it would be on a white square.
Yeah, I'm up way too much now.
Oh, I should have taken the other one. Oh, it didn't matter. I would have gotten captured anyway.
Yeah.
Should I resign? I think I should resign.
Well, I've finally seen a mating pattern. It's been taking me this long. I'm kind of lazy with this. There's probably a lot that I finally spotted a mating pattern. So I believe I'll be mating almost. Yeah. If you do want to, we should be able to analyze the game. I think if I actually make a study, you can actually see on your screen what I'm doing. I haven't tested that either, but it's worth a try. This is easy enough for you and your viewers to see what I'm doing on my screen.
Gotcha.
Here's the mating pattern that I found. Queen, checkmate there.
Thank you for the game.
Do you want me to put this in a study so you guys can all see it on your screen?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Let's see. So let me first grab this PGN here, and then hopefully we're able to analyze it a little bit. Because you've let this trick happen, but you did it on purpose. So
I mean, I didn't think I could move anything else, so I feel pretty bad regardless of what I moved.
Sure. Let's see, games. This will be our study. And we'll just make it public for everybody.
Yeah, I think you just need a link to the game, to the study, right?
Yes. Yeah, so let me first put this PGN in, and then I'll. Do I? Maybe a couple. Editor. This isn't the way. I could have done a little bit more prep on this side of things. Maybe some way though of putting a PGN in. If you click the hamburger menu in the analysis board, there's a button to create.
I don't see a hamburger button.
Oh, now. Just everything. Oh. Okay. Set up here. Okay. Go back and find our game. The hamburger buttons is what I'm being told. It's harder than setting up a Discord call.
I don't know anything about this website, so.
Hamburger menu in the analysis board. Study. Studies Clossius games. Oh, and I just put it right in there. Okay. Here is the link. Let me find you on here. And send this to you. So I think this is open to the public. I can make it so that only people with can have a password if people bug us about it. Oh no, won't work at all. Almost there. Here. Let me to agree to your chat rules first, but boom, there's the study. Anyone can go and look at it.
Where did you post it?
I just posted it in your. I didn't put it on Discord. I put it in.
Oh, you put it in my. Okay, I was looking at Discord, but yeah, that's cool. I got it.
Anyone can go there and look. I'm actually going to make a move now. Does it actually let you? Does it show up on your screen?
You have an arrow from an E7 pawn going upwards.
Yeah. So do you see when I'm making moves?
Yeah.
Like you see that I'm moving pieces.
I can follow it.
Sweet. So yeah. So here you played here, and then so again, the most common move here is actually knight to f3. So this is kind of, if you want to look at this in the future, this might be the way that you want to go. And there's going to be like 3 main moves to c6 in this position. A lot of beginning players are going to play d6, which is just simply not that great. Then you're blocking in your bishop here.
Okay.
But you're going to face that move a lot, so for that reason, it's kind of a good opening to play. And the other one is the Petrov. It's this weird counter-attacking. You're attacking, they're attacking your. So I'm perfectly happy to go into any one of these if you're interested in this opening. But yeah, the point is after here, now you can develop a bishop out this knight on c3. And c3 is a very normal square for a knight, but it does allow this trick. So I do want to just jump back to the game to kind of highlight the one trick in the 4 knights, where we bring out all 4 knights. You put this guy here, is you can play knight takes. If you, I guess you probably, I don't know how much experience you have. Have you used a database, or do you analyze your games after you?
Not yet. I just got showed 2 days ago how I can review a game. So I haven't been able to do it yet, but I got showed that there's an AI on here. That's cool.
Right, yeah. So at any point, I can turn this on. I can hit this engine on, and it's going to say 0.00, meaning it's like E4. Yeah, it's worth just kind of poking around, seeing what checking things with engines and checking the database, because what the moves are. But here's how this fun trick works. After knight takes e4, and after you take back, which seems to be a sensible move, I'm going to play d5. Some people, though, they see this trick coming. So here I'm just simply going to get my piece back, and my bishops are just so happy to get to come out. They spring into the game, and they should be doing pretty well here. A lot of people will see this coming, and they play an even worse move. So after knight takes e, take on f7, because it looks good. If you're going to have to lose it anyway, it looks like I possibly give up this bishop, this pawn, now, because now my king is a little bit exposed. The problem is, after knight, I simply get the center with d5. I get this huge center, and a lot of people, they see this from a distance, and it does look a little bit scary for black, but it's actually not that big of a deal. It's better to actually have the center in this exact position. And because white doesn't have a big follows, are going to be just h6, kicking your knight away. I'm going to be able to develop my bishops somewhere safe, tuck my king and rook in, and kind of castle manually, and just have a big center. So this is actually just known to be good for black. You're playing this against other beginners, and you probably get away with this all day long. It's going to be a while before people start playing knight takes. But it's good to know and have on the radar. This just doesn't work if there's not a knight on. But for example, we had played this move order a little bit different. On move 2, you play knight f, knight c3. After bishop c4, knight f6, there's no longer this threat at all. So say you d3. I mean, this is probably the simplest as d3. Then there's just simply no threats here. You're going to be able to get all your pieces out and just have a normal game from here.
Okay, so don't move the bishop before moving the knight.
Yeah, is that all?
Is that conclusion? Yeah. The conclusion?
It's just this one exact position where there's a trick, and it happens all the time in games. And I can take this trick, and it's not the end of the world, but it just makes blacks.
Gotcha.
So, would you like to play again? But maybe we can switch colors, or we can stay the same, and you can try a new opening as white, however you want to.
So if I move the knight first, and you move a piece, does that mean I can move the bishop out then, or do I have to move a pawn first?
Yeah. So let's get this. I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to be back again.
Oh, okay.
Then yeah, we can get it on the board here.
Okay, and so I'm supposed to go here.
I'll play e5,
and then
just
I
like in the previous game. So now I have to deal with this, and so we're now attacking my pawn. So I'm going to have to defend my pawn. I got to do something about it. I could counterattack. That's not as common. So I'm going to play the main move, which is knight to c6, because I got my stuff. I protect. Now, yeah, you can bring your bishop out.
Okay, so I bring my bishop out now, not my knight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I bring my bishop out. And someone said develop knights before bishop is a saying in chess, not always true, but often.
It's very true. So like when you don't know, sometimes the reason for the rule is knights have very limited amounts of squares they can. Like f3, like where you put your first knight, you put your knight on f3. That's almost always going to be the correct square. Whereas this bishop, you put it on c4, which is obviously a good move here, but it also could have gone to b5, where pressure on my knight. So there's just a little bit less certainty. Bishop's usually the best square for the bishop might be 2 or 3 different squares on the board. Whereas the knights almost always go to f3, and there's not a lot of other squares. So like the knight that I haven't moved yet, almost always going to go to f6.
Okay.
And so now what I'm debating in my head is, should I play knight f6, just like the normal move, the other main move of my bishop? Let me stick with the maxim here, and I will develop my knight to f6. Now you actually have a lot of choices. But
so I think the normal one is if I'm doing the bishops, then I would move my pawn right here, right?
So this is a great, and I think even Magnus Carlsen, the world champ, he really likes D. So there's actually a ton of options for white that we can get into that are a lot more aggressive, but I think this is definitely going to be the absolute simplest. And from here, Black will usually choose, I can go to e7 and stay kind of close to my king, or I can get out and so trying to think about what direction we're going to go. Let me just play kind of the normal way. Bishop to c5. I'm trying to get my bishop out, and I'm going to play d6.
Okay.
And then...
So now I should castle?
So castling is a great... And so part of the position, I'm probably going to castle here in just a minute. Part of the position is one of the moves that I want to play as black, the move like knight to a5 and trying to trap your c4 bishop. There's a couple things. There's a maneuver you kind of need to strategic idea. I want to go win that bishop. So, but if I move my knight to the side on a5, I'm going to be hanging my... Sometimes, I mean, possibly the better move is to play d6. Like, so if I support my pawn, then I'm all of a sudden going to go and get your bishop. Your bishop on c4 is awesome. Outside the pawn chain, it's attacking my f pawn. So part of it is going to be, I want to get your bishop. So you want to be ready for that, and you want to have an escape square for that bishop. Other maneuvers that white wants to have in mind in this position is you're trying to play moves in the center, trying to play moves like potentially c3 and later d4. Well, you can spot both of those. So your actually knight will not usually go to c3. Usually you're going to put a pawn there so that eventually you can play d4, get a huge center sometime later in the future.
I thought if you could go c3 without consequence, then it's better than d4 or sorry, d2 or e2.
You can go c3 without consequence, it's better than
d2 or e2. I thought if the knights can get out to those squares in the center, it's better than d2 or e2. And I know it's not always true, but I thought if you could, you should.
Right. Yeah, so this is one of the exceptions. So this line is definitely going to be one of the exceptions. And the reason is there's what I like to call the Rui Lopez Maneuver. You don't really need to know what it is, why it's called that. But your ideas are to e1, which not only defends your central e-pawn, you're vacating that f1 square for a knight. If you look at your knight on b1, because this is kind of the guy in question, we're trying to figure out where this guy goes. Actually, if you're trying to checkmate me, because I'm going to castle on the king side, want to get it all the way over to f5. So if you can believe it or not, just looking at that guy, if you could pick him up, drop him on f5, actually have a huge attack. Can you see how it's going to take you?
I see 2 moves.
4 moves to get there.
How many moves? So
it's going to take you 4 moves to get there. So this is like a slow opening.
To get to g5 or f5?
5. Yeah, can you get your knight from b1 all the way to f5?
Okay, 1.
Bring the rook on e1 first is the hint. Well, you have the f1 square.
The rook to e1? Oh,
yeah,
and
so
then and then I can move the knight b2 to f1 to g3 to f5.
Boom. There it is. Yep, that's the main maneuver.
But why would
so it's
my
really
knight...
long-winded. It's elaborate.
Why would my knight
when you get
be
that
good at f5?
Once you get all the way to f5, then you're suddenly looking at my king side. For example, you're already thinking of sacrifices. I'm going to be castled and everything, but if you can sometimes get another piece attacking g7, like maybe a queen sneaks in to f3 to 3, it's going to be this like elaborate long attacking plan. But it was even Kasparov that said a knight on f5 is worth like a rook because it's like such a strong attacking piece. And when you kind of get into it, and when we get there, I'm just going to castle now.
Then why can't I move the f3 knight to h4 and get that to f5?
So here, there's usually a tactical problem with it. So when you move to h4, now if you look at the alignment, my queen is on the same diagonal as your knight.
Uh-huh.
So I have this tactic where I can move my knight on f6 and take your... It's usually the problem with it.
Okay.
So it's a tactical problem. And yeah, just the more pieces too, you're going to actually try to bring like all your pieces. And we'll kind of go through it slow here. So
okay, so I can move my
together.
knight to d2 because it defends 2 pieces. And my bishop would be blocked, but I can put my bishop on b2 soon to activate it again, and then it's okay?
Yeah, so you will block it at some point, either now. I assume either rook e1 or some other move might be the normal way, but we'll get there somehow. I'm going to play a tricky move. We're going to keep in mind what one of my strategic ideas is. I'm going to defend my e-pawn. Now my knight is no longer tied down to my e-pawn. So my idea is I'm going to go and knight to a5, and I'm going to try to get your bishop. So there's two main ways of saving your bishop in this.
Well, my plan was just to move a pawn to b3 so I could activate my bishop next turn.
To b3, you're kind of trapping your light squared bishop in there. He might actually get into a lot of trouble.
I will.
If you put pawn on b3?
Yeah. Oh, I can't go backwards. But
yeah,
I
so
thought
normally,
my c2 pawn is not good right now.
So start thinking about how are you going to deal with the fact that I'm going to attack your bishop and try to... Actually, 2 different pawn moves on that side of the board. That's able to help you save your bishop on the next move.
I don't know what to do. If I can't, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to activate.
You need to create a retreating square. There's not a retreat yet. Mm-hmm. And so the 2 main ways are a4, which is probably the most popular way of doing it, and a4 is just attack you. I play knight a5. You can just go back all the way to a. That's one simple way. A more complicated way that I also kind of like c3, which has some ideas of if I attack you running around with the bishop. Yeah, a4 is the most popular way to go. So definitely a good move. Now it doesn't make any sense for me to go and attack you. So with that threat pretty well. And yeah, now I'm going to need to make some big decisions here. What I want to do. I think I'm going to start maneuvering my knights around. And I think I'm looking at my knight on c6, and I kind of want to go to f4 for the same idea that you want to go to f5. So I'm going to play the move knight to e7. And actually thinking too to myself, I think actually knight to d2 probably is wrong because you can't play d4 position. So this is a more advanced idea. Probably if you had rook on e1, I wouldn't be able to play this way. I would play d4. That's a little bit more advanced.
Now you said having a knight on f5 was good, right?
Yes. So that's where your knight on d2 is definitely heading over to f.
But since you blocked your queen, why can't I go to h4 now?
Yeah, actually you can. F5 under control for now. You can give it a try. Knight also had some influence on the center, so I'm wondering if I can start now playing like c6 and d4. I can play d5 go, but I will try to be just. I want to somehow, when I look at this, it does natural to me. So my first thought is either to play d5 or with the move c6, and my idea is to play d5.
Okay, so you moved up. Does that affect me right now? I don't think so.
So yeah, if you go to the side, then I should try to play in the center. I'm trying to meet your flank attack and play in the center. And I currently have f5 under control. I'm playing it twice. Knight jumps in there. I'll win a pawn.
All right, so I'm gonna go here because I think that's about to open up if I trade.
Yeah, this seems very logical because now maybe you can get your knight here. Calculating how mean I want to be. It's also a very good move because now if I play d5, I have to reckon with the fact you play e takes d5, you take my pawn there in the center. Rook is aligned with my e pawn. I have to that under. To move like knight g4 is very good for me. Actually, maybe I do have a lot of ways of attacking that pawn. Okay. Yeah, to be mean. Let's hop in here.
Okay.
Attack your f pawn first.
So I'm going to go here because you said that was a powerful move.
It's actually an interesting time to do it. So I did attack your f pawn, and you didn't actually respond to that.
Oh, isn't my king defending that?
Yes, but I attacked it twice. So I have a knight and a bishop.
Oh, I didn't see the bishop.
Yeah.
I don't see bishops.
Oh, no. Oh, it's only a matter of... Bad news for you. I have a discovered attack. I can knight anywhere. And if you save your queen, I still get to move my knight anywhere with check.
But I get to do this for free now, right?
Okay, so very good move. Yeah, good move. I'll have to take it back. You kind of solved that one problem. But the biggest problem is the discovered attack here.
There's a discover. Oh, because you can, because your knight moving.
So yeah, my next move, knight goes anywhere, and it's going to be check.
Oh,
hopefully I get to grab something. Or
that'll give you a fork on my rook.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I do something else? Dang it. Maybe I shouldn't have moved the queen.
If you don't move the queen, I take the queen.
Well,
so
let's go here.
Okay. I'm a cruel guy. I'm looking at the move. Bishop to g4.
Bishop to g4.
If your queen's trapped, it looks like it. Oh, yeah. I could obviously, most people are going to move this knight, right? They're going to move this knight. It's going to be check. They're going to take it. I'm even more cruel. I want a queen. Oh, this is suddenly kind of... Eek. Me. I'll take it.
I need like one more piece.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what I wanted it to, how I wanted it to go down.
Right. Yeah. So it was. And these positions are really, really hard. Like if you're playing a good player and you play just a little bit too slow in the opening, the other player is going to take over. It's going to be the way that it works. I definitely want to show this afterward, and maybe we can switch, and I can from the white side or something. And then another thing that might be more fair and also this isn't going to be a smother me. No.
Discovered attack, yeah. But I have to move my king.
I had something here that I don't have. Oh, embarrassing. All right, let's go back. I'll bring my rook in. Rook is defended. Oh, I have to take that into account. Well, let's go back. Now, if you make a mistake, just apologize. You go back. And you start afresh.
I take, you take. That's a discovered attack. I can't do that. So I have to go here.
Okay. That one.
And then, oh, wait. That didn't change anything. I thought that
and
was,
yeah.
I thought
hopefully now I have a big...
Mistakes are made.
Mhm. It's surprising how fast it can go downhill one little mistake.
Crap.
You defended against the checkmate.
I'm just trying to give my king more escape routes.
It's very good. That's actually, yeah, that's correct. Can I play here? It's really mean. I'd say something like, "Oh no, my bishop." That'd be mean. I would obviously saw it.
Well, if I take your bishop, then you'll just take the pawn, and then I don't really. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know. If I take your bishop, you don't even have to take the pawn. You can just move your queen down to h1. Is that checkmate?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm trying to be sneaky.
Yeah, I don't want to take it though.
Right? Yeah. If you take it, you get checkmate. Yeah. Very good. You're pretty good at tactics.
I don't know. I don't feel very good right now.
For the, I mean, I'm being honest. For the rating, it's strategic stuff that I just where you're weak at, just not. You just don't get that. You do have some more tactical awareness than I think a lot of people I would expect. So, which is good.
I think I'm gonna lose. I think I'm about to lose. I know I'm going to lose, but I think I'm about to lose is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay, I go here.
Yeah, I don't see main one here. Upsetting. Get in there. Yeah, a lot of ways to win material. Force mate? Yeah, this forces mate, right? Okay. Progress and take, and then I'll have a checkmate here.
What's blocking? Oh, that's blocking that square. Bishop's the bishop. Bishop, queen. What's blocking? Oh, that's a pawn. Dang it.
Yeah. King is in a very pretty mate, though.
What? What's saving this bishop? Oh, the rook.
The rook.
Oh my gosh! Whatever. Thank you for the
so
game.
I'm gonna move this over for sure. I mean, yeah, this actually was a very, very interesting. Hopefully, if you go back to the study, hopefully you can see it's on the board. So yeah, just let me know when you're over there on the study because I want to look at this one as.
Where's the study? What study?
I can put the link back. Maybe it's easier to just do it right here on Discord for you.
Okay.
It's the study link.
Oh, is it the same board that you sent last time?
Yep. So yeah, I just made a new chapter.
Oh.
Chapter number.
Interesting.
Yeah, this way you also afterwards you can go back and you can look at all these games. You can analyze them with an engine and the database, and and do some prep for them.
Actually, before we get into this, does he sound choppy at all on my stream? By the way, because I feel like sometimes I like a word in the middle of a sentence will drop for me.
Oh, okay.
And I'm worried that might be just a Discord thing. Do you have Google Hangouts? Because that's what we did last time, and it worked a little bit better.
Sure. Yeah, we can try that.
Yeah. That just it was going well, and then it kind of started chopping, and I think Discord calls just don't work well on stream, I guess. Which we have. I did have Google Hangouts prepared for as a backup this time, because last time is what we had to do.
So you have my email address.
Yes, but I don't think I called it. So I have a Google Hangout in a separate window, so I haven't started a conversation with you yet.
Oh, so is this something I download, or just I have Google, I can start it?
If you're in your Gmail, it'll be on the bottom left, or you can go to what was it, Hangouts? Google. If you Google Hangouts, there's like a website that's basically it. And then I just click new conversation, and it just send me in your email and in the Discord. That's how we don't post on a stream. And I'll try to start a conversation. That might be a little bit easier. I just don't want to miss like the coordinates, I guess, when you because sometimes it'll drop a coordinate. And I'm like, I think he means this one.
Oh, right. That can be distracting.
All right, I sent you an invite. And just let me know when you get that, and then we can switch over to that. And it should be the exact same thing. We shouldn't have to change any settings or anything.
Okay.
All right, you got it?
So we're on there. We need to end this call then?
Yeah, we'll have to end the Discord call, and we'll open up that one. That is so loud. That is killing my ears. Hi, can you hear me?
Boom. Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome.
How is that, everybody?
All right, and you can just hide the camera if you don't have the CPU for that or anything. I just hid my camera on Google Hangouts. Automatically has a camera turned on, so you can just hide that.
Gotcha.
Data. All right.
Sweet. Okay, is that better for everybody?
Can everyone?
Just let me know in the chat if that's good for everybody.
Yeah, make sure everyone on my end can hear it too.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, you were getting choppy, and I was like, it's just getting worse the longer the stream goes on. I think it's because it starts okay, and then the stream just starts using more and more and more, and it just slowly deteriorates over time. Yeah. I think I'll just do this in the future as well. Just like, hey, here's Google Hangouts, and I guess it's just easier for people.
Yeah, I'll get some headphones though, just unprepared for other people that don't have Google Hangout.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. So yeah, I do have it up. I'm watching your knight arrow thingy move.
Sweet. Yeah. So you can see when I move the pieces.
Yep.
Sweet. So yeah, this is your first attempt at knight to f3 on move 2. So understandably, it's a rocky road. But yeah, bishop to c4 is definitely one of the moves that I recommend, especially at the beginner level, because it's easy to kind of play the way that we played, in the sense that, I mean, no opening is like truly easy. You're going to have to every opening is different and unique, and you have to get a lot of practice with it. But it gives you the ability later on to transpose to a lot of the tricky lines as you grow and develop as a chess player. The most popular move here is actually bishop to b5. This is what most of the professionals are going to play.
I thought that wasn't good because you're not supposed to help your opponent develop a pawn.
So yeah, you're thinking about if they take, for example, if here, you wouldn't want to just take right away.
Well, I meant if they played a6.
Yeah, so if a6, which is actually the main move, most people are going to just keep this bishop.
Well,
so yeah.
I thought you weren't supposed to touch twice.
We weren't supposed to move the same piece twice?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just quoting what I read.
I mean, if they attack you, you better move it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought that's the reason you don't do it, because not only did you have to touch it twice, you helped a pawn move out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the oldest opening in all of chess. This is the most studied. So it's also therefore the most nuanced. And yeah, at all these openings, you're going to break these rules constantly. The rules are really just guidelines. In general, you don't want to, if unprovoked, if I do nothing, you wouldn't want to now move this guy again and go to c4. That kind of making a second move wouldn't make any sense. If you wanted to go to c4, you should have just gone there.
Gotcha.
In one move. So that's the kind of the reasoning for it.
Well, that's counterintuitive. It's the guideline. Yeah. Here's the guidelines, but every opening breaks at least one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's the same in Go. I have no idea, but I assume there's general basics. You should do this, but here's a million exceptions. I don't know if Go is like that. Or
well, yeah, it probably at the higher level it's definitely true. At the lower level, it's definitely not. At the lower level, the better you are at theories, the better your position will be. But the higher levels, it's you can break this rule, but only because this variation exists. So I know in chess you call it calculating. So it's probably why you defy it so much in the opening, because the opening everyone's calculated it so much.
Right.
That it's oh yeah, of course these theories exist, but because of this exact variation, we don't do it.
Right.
which
So,
I guess is the same thing.
yeah. So all that being said, bishop to c4 is like simpler and more, intuitive at the beginning. And then, yes, people they play bishop to c5 because it avoids a lot of the sharp, complicated lines. But knight to f6 is definitely the most logical move. So that's why I played it. And then you played a great move. You played d3, which is actually, if you can see the database over here, played over 8,000 times. And there's a lot of other sharp moves. Knight to g5 is the one that's the sharpest and the most interesting. So it will be worth just kind of going through this just so you can see it, because there's a lot of interesting tactics in this one already. So
how did they respond to that? Because that sets up a fork.
So, and this is what I did to you in our game. I used my knight and my bishop, and I attacked your f-pawn.
That was so mean.
So this is going to happen all the time. So how do you actually stop it? You can look at the database and cheat, but if you
well, let's see. You're about to set up a fork. Normally you'd want to kick it out, but there's no way to kick it out. You can't move the pawn out of the way. So you'd want to be able to capture. So queen e2 or e7.
So queen e7 is what a lot of people try here, but it actually doesn't quite work because the bishop and the knight are so much weaker. For example, here I can just take now, and you're not gonna want to trade a queen for 2 minor pieces because she's worth 9. These guys are only worth 6 put together.
And if you move your king, that's still
it keeps worse because then they go here and they threaten a fork. So it gets worse and worse and worse if you allow this. But yeah, that's what a lot of people they try in this position when they see it for the first time. D5, excellent. Right, so this could be a sacrifice. Let's walk through it slowly. They take with a pawn, attacks the knight. And so what's the most logical move? I think the move that everybody would play here is actually a mistake.
Well, you can't take with the queen, right?
Right, so you take it with the queen, loses a queen.
Yeah, so you can't do that. I see you're just moving the knight out of the way, but you could also move it to d4.
Yep, so these are both moves. I was kind of trying to hope to goad you into saying the most obvious move is knight takes d5 because you just recapture back.
Well, wouldn't the bishop get it then?
So if the bishop takes, then the queen will take back. So this is actually great for black. The queen also adds some attack over here. This piece is a little loose, which could be useful for some tactics in some lines. This actually would be totally fine for black. But there is what's called the fried liver attack here, and it's one of the ones that a lot of beginners will walk into.
Who names these things?
So this one, it's called the fried liver because after the move, knight takes f7. This crazy move, giving up a whole knight. The king itself in this exact line, based on the fact that there's this pin here, and there's a queen coming into the attack. The point is you're trying to serve this black king up like fried liver. So you follow it up with queen to f3, which is a double attack. You attack the king, and you attack the knight for a second time. And the only way to get out of check and defend your knight is to play this crazy move, king to e6. And this is why it's called fried liver. You give up a whole knight, but you get this huge attack. And then it's all about just attacking this knight as many times as possible. So, moves like knight to c3, and it becomes very difficult for black to defend here.
Huh.
So, won't go too much more into it, but I just wanted to point out that that's like a possible line. So if you do, at some point, you want to take a look at it. I mean, most people are going to play knight to f6 here. If at some point you want to bust out a database and kind of look at it, or you just want to explore it to see if people even find the move d5, it's worth considering in some of your games.
Okay. I don't know if I'll remember that, but I'll try to remember it.
Sure. And if not, d3 is totally a fine move. Are there any audio issues? Somebody just said something.
I don't hear anything wrong.
Bernie, are there audio issues or anything? Just let me know, and we can try to fix them. But d3 is like the most principled way of playing, and it has this nice slow approach where bishop e7 or bishop to c5 are going to be the main moves.
I get the feeling that memorizing opening patterns in chess is a lot more powerful than it is in Go.
Right, because if you know it and they don't, it's just like over.
Yeah, but would you say that's good or bad for a beginner to memorize an opening, in your opinion?
So you don't really need to memorize every single line. So at the very top level, they're memorizing variations and they're going deep, and they know like 20 moves of a whole bunch of different branches.
Mm-hmm.
What you kind of want at the beginning is you just want a basic plan. So, for example, in this position that we reached, okay, all of this was logical, and I castled as well. There's basically three main things that are going on. One of them is I'm trying to get your bishop on c4. So you need to have some way of keeping your bishop alive. That's one of the main ideas in this position.
How are you saying that you're trying to get it? Nothing's attacking it.
So I'm going to play knight to a5. So for example, if after here at b6, if you don't play a4, if you just play, so most people are playing c3, which I'll also explain. If you play some silly move, it doesn't matter. I'm going to play knight to a5. And my idea is I'm simply going to take this bishop. Whether you run away, whether you go here, I can still take it. I'm going to find some way of taking this guy. Because this bishop is so powerful. The bishop on c4 is just such a strong piece. We've seen all these tactics on f7 all the time with the knight and the bishop. That's a horrible arrow. But the knight and the bishop attacking the f-pawn. This is going to keep happening all the time. The bishop is such a good piece. I need to get rid of it somehow, if I'm able.
Okay, so when you say make a plan, you're more of like picking a powerful piece on the board and trying to get rid of it or get it out of there?
Correct. Yeah, I'm constantly weighing which pieces are good and which pieces are bad, and trying to figure out which pieces I need to trade and which pieces I need to keep on the board. Okay. So conversely, this is one of my good pieces. Because at some point, maybe I'll get to play knight g4 and I'll have some pressure on your f-pawn.
Okay.
So it's constantly a battle of making sure your pieces are good and they find really, really good squares.
So it's not just developing, it's developing while putting a lot of attacks on a single piece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, if we continue here, so a4, which is totally fine. Another idea worth considering is c3. And now it can get interesting if I play knight to a5. Well, because first of all, there's b4. But the typical, there's this funny little running away line. It's maybe even more common. Let me illustrate it too. Let me get my bishop out of the way to illustrate it another way. Now, let's just say castles, let's just say d6, c3. Now, if I go about, let me just put a couple more moves on the board just for a laugh. If I attack your bishop, what would you play here?
I mean, there's only one move, right? There's two moves, I guess, technically. Maybe I would go bishop d5 because it's protected by a pawn.
Yeah, so here it's actually interesting because I can just take with my knight, but I don't even think that's the best move because I think if I take with my knight, this guy might end up getting stranded. It takes away one of his squares. But I think I can play one of the moves that I'm actually hoping to play in this kind of position, which is the move c6. The idea is eventually I get to play the move d5 and get, a push in the center. But I'm also just asking this bishop to go away again, and wherever you go away, I'm going to be able to grab it. You can take back, obviously. But I got rid of a strategically desirable piece. Your bishop was really good, and I was able to win this.
Okay.
But there's a really sneaky way. I bring it up because it's unusual, because it's different, because it hopefully will get you to, think a little bit differently about the game and how you would save a piece here.
Okay.
So there is a way of keeping this bishop on the board. I got hunting it down. I'm hunting it down, but you can escape here. And it has to do with the move c3 that was played a little bit earlier.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the AI is telling me to go b5, so...
Yeah. So, yeah, it's telling you, which is whatever. But it's still good, which when you're using a database, the point is there's nobody telling you why. Yeah. But if you can kind of put a story together, I'm trying to hunt down your bishop. How are you going to stop me? So now a6, yeah, the point is we're going to run away. And after b5, obviously we're not going to go to b3 where we're able to capture you. You're going to go to c2. And c2 is very often the square where this bishop's going to go in this kind of opening. It's a very normal square for the bishop. And it looks a little weird at first maybe because it's behind all these pawns. But part of your plan is to play d4 at some point, possibly after you're going to do, we're going to do a lot of slow maneuvering first, like we're going to bring all your stuff out and whatever. But if you ever play d4, he gets closer and closer and closer to becoming an active piece. If your knight ever ends up all the way over here on f5, and I take it, this bishop will sometimes be able to get back into the game somehow, some way. But c2 is actually a very normal square in these kinds of structures for the bishop to end up. You're just keeping it there, even if it's stuck behind some pawns for now. It's such a strong piece, it'll come back later in the game.
Okay.
So what ended up happening in our game is Here, yeah, so again, so I guess the main move here we can see in the database is c3. h3 is also an interesting option. I think h3 is, if you play this move h3, you're saying, I want to play rook e1, but I don't want to allow this knight to go to g4, which would have saved you a little bit of a headache at some point.
Oh, I thought you weren't supposed to move those pawns.
Yeah,
king's behind them.
But again, it's more important to think about what I'm trying to do and what you're trying to do. And, you're trying to, the c3 is definitely the most flexible. You don't have to play h3 yet. When your rook is still here, I'm never going to be threatening to go here because your f-pawn is going to be defended enough. But yeah, and then it's going to give some long, complicated lines. There's like d5 and d6, and if you really were doing this, you need to know a lot. But yeah, just the basic plans here were fine. Here, you played a4, and again, it's very keeping in what you're supposed to be doing. c3 is probably the more accurate move, just because now if we do the same hunt, you get to escape again. Some sort of hunt like this. Which I could hunt you down with my a-pawn, my c-pawn, whatever, would work out. You're just going to do the same escape plan, and it's just more keeping in with what you're trying to do, which is eventually to play in the center. But had the right idea, so I don't think it's that horribly wrong at all. And here's where I actually I'm going to turn on the computer. Does this, I guess, I'm kind of curious. I'm looking at your screen to see if that turns it on for you or not. But otherwise, I can just sit here and cheat all day long. I know all the answers now. I feel suddenly very strong. But yeah, so this actually turns out, was this wrong by me? Wow. You can now play knight to b3. And you're actually doing the same thing. The way that I want to get this bishop, you're now hunting down my guy, which is pretty funny. And here it doesn't make any sense at all because you just play here. So yeah, that's kind of funny. You actually had the chance to do the same kind of thing that I was trying to do to you. So the computer was just telling me, I've been sitting here lecturing night and day here about, how I'm going to hunt down this bishop. But the computer's just laughing at me. It's like, I better make an escape square for my bishop. Do the same thing you just did. And that's kind of funny. So it's a very symmetrical position. So it actually makes sense that what is good for me is also good for you. So, yeah, you could have had a great position here.
If I knew how to attack.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things that's coming down to these bishops outside the pawn chain when, they're just so powerful. You want to try to get them at whatever cost. That was kind of funny. And then here it says that you threw it all away. C6 was correct. Yeah, here I can play d5, but my move is also good. And I guess now it's time to, put your rook on one of these squares. So I've seen a lot of high-level games where, not in this exact position, but in similar positions, top grandmasters, they do like this, and they make a draw really fast. And then they're like, okay, now we don't have to play anymore. So that does happen. Quite a lot in top level games. And then the other way, if you're trying to win, is to put this rook on this semi-awkward square, but it defends everything. So
why would they want to draw?
So when you're playing these top tournaments, it's not always about winning. And yeah, thanks Sonia for the bits. It's not about winning each game necessarily. You think of like the longer tournament structure where most games are going to be draws, and they kind of take this into account, and maybe they don't want to play this particular opponent. They want to wait and they want to use something against somebody else. But they can kind of draw their way through the tournament and get like +1 or +2. Sometimes it only takes like 1 or 2 wins to win a whole tournament because so many games are draws at the top level.
Huh.
But yeah, it's just based on like who they want to play in the whole tournament, and they think about the larger picture. But that kind of stuff happens quite a bit. And then sometimes they repeat just one time, and then they eventually like, okay, I'm going to win. I just wanted to see if black would do something different. So there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in the top level tournaments. But then, okay, yeah, then here this is a huge mistake, and I assume there's not much more it's worth talking about here. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of an idea of how to play this opening. I think it would be interesting. Do you want to do one more chess game?
I'm not sure how long you will be streaming.
I'm gonna go forever. I don't really care. I don't have a timeline.
Yeah, that's fine because I can go. I'm gonna be going for a while too because my wife's playing D&D tonight, so
Sweet.
So I'm not gonna be doing anything with her.
So,
all right. So just one more, and then
do you want to play me, or do you want to play somebody else? Another interesting idea is you playing somebody else at your own rating, so that maybe you can win a game, and then I guess it makes sense for me to hear you, but you not hear me.
I guess if that's good for you.
And then yes, and I'll hear what you're saying while you're doing it, and then at the very end.
Yeah, so you Google Hangouts, you can just hit the mute button then. And then
Okay,
if
so I'm gonna
anyone
mute
wants to hear
myself,
him,
and
just check out the multi stream.
Sweet. So yeah, I'm muting now. You go play a game. I'll be watching you, and then we'll talk about
Okay.
it at the end.
Am I playing someone in chat or am I playing a ranked game?
Anybody you want. If you want to just jump in the pool, it'll be easy because you'll get somebody random. But if somebody in the chat is you want to play, go for it.
I'll just jump in the pool. That way I can play a ranked game. It'll for sure be my level, I guess.
Sweet. All right, muting myself now.
All right. Okie dokie. All right, so I am white. That's convenient considering I've been done nothing but Sunny White today, I guess. And already he goes off the track, so I don't even know what to do. Okay, but so he said knight to f3 would attack the pawn, but since the pawn's not there, I don't know how to attack this. It's already on. It's a completely different game now already. I'm gonna go here, even though he said not to do this one on the other position because this one blocks the pawn from moving forward. What? How do I deal with this? Wait. That's wrong. That's wrong. I can just do that. All right. Starting off strong. All right, so I want to develop the bishops, and he doesn't have the center, so I'm just going to doot. Okay, and then that's not hanging because there's a queen. So I'm gonna go doot because I don't see a reason not to doot. Okay, so that knight is threatening c2, which is defended, a2, which is defended, and a check at d3, which is defended. Now, it's defended, but I can also poke it at a3. And then if I go a3, all three of my side squares are protected, so he has to jump back to exactly where he was. He's a question mark, so maybe he's not ranked yet. I might be sandbagging and I don't know it. Okay. Now, I think I want to... I was going to go queenside castle, but because my pawn is moved up, I think I'm going to go kingside castle, so I'm going to move this rook out. Oh, okay. But I can take with mine. All right. And that was good for me. All right, so now he's attacking my pawn, but that's defended by my other knight. And the way he's been playing, maybe he'll fall for that. So I'm just going to castle. Every piece that's moved out has died so far, except for that bishop. Not including the pawns. Wait. I can trade now. Now I'm up by 4, so trading should be good. And I think bishops, according to the last stream, bishops are just slightly better than knights. Very, very slightly. So I can trade, and since I'm up, trades are good for me. I'm going to trade. And this will also make his pawns do. Yeah, the double doots. Got to do the double doots. Okay. Now, if he wants to trade queens, I'm okay with that. So I have no problems. So I want to develop something. What do I want to develop? I think I want to move my rook to e1, since that way I can move my pawn up, potentially sacrifice it, and it'd also be poking his king. So I'm going to do that. Okay. He moved up. Which that opens up a square for the knight now, which is actually pretty interesting. It might be interesting. Maybe it's not. Now he said that when you're making a plan, you want to target a special piece, but there's no special piece in the center. So I should target a special piece on his side. So I should target that queen. His pawns can't really move forward all that much. I could honestly just trade the queen at this point. I'm up by 4, but I don't know if trading queens is good. I'm going to move the knight, because that'll let my bishop take that pawn, and it'll protect the bishop. So I'm going to move the knight, and then my bishop might be able to poke the queen. Okay, so he did see that. So now, is there any check on the king? No, because I don't have a white bishop. White square bishop. So I need... Wait. Oh, dang it. I was going to say I could use my knight to go to e7 to poke his queen and free up that row. Or column, I guess. But his knight is protecting that square. So maybe I should also look at that knight as well as the queen, but I don't know how to look at the knight. Especially since it's on a white square. Thank you for the follow. Wait, I can check the king and force him out. Wait, is that checkmate? Hold on, if I move the knight to c7, I take a pawn. He's in check. Now, my queen is blocking that whole row or column, so he can't move the king. So he has to take the knight with the queen, and then I'll get a free queen. Okay, so not checkmate. It's not checkmate. But I can get a queen. My opponent left the game? It says claim victory or call draw. Do I just claim victory then? My opponent left the game. Do I just claim victory? Claim victory? I won. GG, well played. Thank you for that game.
You won.
Yeah, I won.
Easy.
Do what?
Excellent game. Very easy. Yeah, you made a lot of very good decisions in there. So I do want to just real quick, I'm going to add this to that study again. And if you want to just have one look at how you crushed this guy. You played an excellent game. So if you play people around your own rating, I guess you can do very well.
Well, I think he was at my ranking because he was provisional, and usually they don't do that.
So yeah, but in any case, if you're looking at the study, I'm assuming you may have been
200.
Thrown off.
I had 250 people watching. Yeah, the first move threw me off a lot. I didn't know what to do to that.
Oh yeah, and we did get a raid from Penguin, who's a grandmaster. Andy Tang, and yeah, he sent over 300 people over here.
Oh,
so a lot of people saw this crushing defeat.
Do you want to post the multi-stream link, or do you just want to continue with the review?
I don't have it handy, so I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
But yeah, he played really well here. They played on the side, And yeah, after the rook came here, he spotted it right away. So this actually is great because it's all about board vision. And what I really liked was the way you kind of went through slowly, and you're like, is this protected? Is this protected? And you figured it all out correctly. So yeah, here you did a great job. A lot of people might not even see that you can take that rook.
I almost didn't see it. I almost didn't see the rook. I was like, oh no, what do I do? But I had just checked on the previous turn what my bishop was doing, and I was like, okay, that's got that. So that's cool. And then he moved his rook onto it, and I was like, well, that's weird.
Right, and that's what it's all about. It's just kind of getting to know of like where your pieces are going to go, because at some point it'll be so natural that this bishop is always looking at the a6 square. But at the beginning, it's just about looking around. So yeah, it looks like you're using your time, and you're kind of like, okay, where's my knight? My knight is controlling what squares, and you're kind of having a look around. And yeah, it led you to find a lot of very good moves. And yeah, taking out the pawn is probably wrong. But yeah, again, here you can make a lot of good moves. You just developed a piece. Probably not the one I would, but as long as you're developing your pieces, everything is going to be fine here.
Is the bishop not good?
It's probably not the most accurate move. I assume I can turn the engine on, but I'm assuming it's either like d5 or knight f3. Probably d5 is like the strongest move.
Oh, because it attacks the knight.
But yeah, it doesn't really matter much. So you are just winning here because you're up material, and your opponent has absolutely nothing for it, and their pawn structure is ruined. So like you should just be able to win if you play like an engine from here. So that's the good news. But as long as you develop your pieces logically, like nothing horribly wrong with it. It's not like that changes anything. And then here is an example we were kind of talking about when it is and isn't a good idea to move pieces twice in the opening. Here's a bad example. Your opponent shouldn't be moving this knight. He's not making any attempt to get this king castled and safe. And that's going to be a huge problem because you already control the center. And you're going to be able to get your stuff out and castle very quickly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I moved my pawn here. I was like, I can make him move his piece twice, and that should be good for me.
Right. And so, yeah, it's even a question. I actually wonder if the computer would even play a3 or if it's just like the knight actually isn't doing anything. And I kind of liked in the game you were going through, you're like, okay, so c2, that's covered by the queen. Okay, d3, that's covered by like a pawn and a queen. And, that was pretty good. And then you decided on a3, which can't be too wrong. And you developed your knight. Again, great. As long as you're developing stuff. And then a shocking move. Your opponent gave away another piece. So, excellent. You took it back.
I think he probably doesn't see knights.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're very tricky. Yeah, he's also struggling with what is defended by what. He just sees that the thing is attacked. Hey, I can grab a pawn, and then it's just kind of surprised when you're able to take it back. Okay, and then you just castle. This is fantastic. And his big plan was bishop to b7 to c6, and you just grabbed it, which is excellent. This was a great move. And then after this capture, I was kind of wondering, I'm assuming, okay, I thought you were just going to trade queens because that's absolutely the simplest. Another idea is, if it were me, I'd be trying to attack this guy, and I'd just move my queen somewhere, just anywhere simple, e2, or, you could probably go out anywhere that's nice and safe. And then with the idea of putting a rook on the d file to attack the queen, just keeping the queens on the board. Sorry, sometimes if I hit a square in the center, the arrows go away. But yeah, just by keeping the queens on the board might have also been just a good way to try to checkmate them quickly, but it totally worked out during the game. Because here you played a great move. I thought this was a really, really excellent move. You played knight to d5, which is just fantastic. This is just a great move. You're threatening knight takes c7, and there's really nothing that he's going to be able to do about it.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think it was that good, and then I saw that maybe I could that the bishop was protecting c7, and so having a knight there would actually be really nice. That was my feeling anyway.
Yeah. It's a lot like how in all the other games, the art practice games, it was always this f pawn. Conversely, on the queen side, the same sort of thing with this c pawn. You can kind of notice the symmetry. It's 3 squares from either side. These pawns, they get attacked by knights and bishops all the time. So instead of going after the f pawn here, we're going after the c pawn. Okay. So this ends up being similar.
So is that why having the bishops on the corners like f4 and c4 are really good?
Yes. So yeah, when the knights, they coordinate, if you can coordinate a knight and a bishop, so usually if there's knights and stuff going here, this is going to be very strong. And the corollary is on the queen side, when you have a knight and a bishop lined up on those c pawns, really good stuff is going to happen. So those are the 2 weaknesses that early on are going to be the ways that you win lots of games. Like lots and lots and lots of games are going to be won because the knights and bishops just coordinate against either the c or the f pawns. So hey, that was fantastic. You won that game, and you played great. You actually, I can't really criticize any move too much. You played a very, very good game. You should be happy with that one.
Yeah. Cool. That felt so much better than the games I played against you.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, look, I'm actually getting pieces.
Yeah, right. So hopefully you do continue and you just keep playing and you play people your own rating and all of that. But
I mean, yeah, it's been interesting. I've also been like doing the learn practice section on this site.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've done like 3 sections of checkmate problems. And then I'm just working my way down the page, and I figured if I just do all the problems on the page, I could probably get to like maybe 1,300 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so if you're doing puzzles every day and you're playing every day, that's definitely
not every day, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I have other Go stuff that I have to do every day, so I haven't been able to play chess every day. But I mostly can do chess on the weekends and stuff. But this weekend has been really slow because it's also our anniversary and everything. So I unfortunately didn't have a good chess week this week. But it was definitely fun. I did play a couple games a few days ago, or a couple days ago, when I had the other. I did invite someone for the collaboration on Thursday, I believe it was. And that was CL Smith 15, and he taught me.
He's been here in the chat too this whole time, so yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's been he helped me out then and taught me some stuff, and then I played like a game, and then came here, and now I played some more, and so I'm getting a lot of stuff, a lot of information. So hopefully we'll see another rank or two here soon. I don't know how fast you improve at the 1100s, honestly.
Right.
Oh, I did.
I mean, you're improving fast, so yeah. If you stick with it, I do think that you'll improve fast because I think you have the right mindset for it.
Awesome.
I think just kind of the way you go through it slowly, you just don't have enough practice.
Yeah, I think I'm really slow. I've been watching you guys play, and you're playing like 1 minute, and I'm like, I don't even know how you see anything in 1 minute. And that's like 1 minute sudden death. And
this is perfect practice. This seems like the perfect time control for you. I would keep doing this to improve because you're getting to the right answer, and that's kind of how it is. Like if you haven't solved these kinds of puzzles over and over and over again, it's just you're getting to all the right answers. You found all the right moves. It just takes you a little longer because you just don't have the experience yet.
Gotcha.
But
so
when you take your time, you are finding all the right moves.
One thing I'm curious about is at the higher levels. So I'm finding it interesting because Go and chess have 2 different clock types, and I'm also finding the way we handle clocks is different. The more I'm like doing these collaboration streams, the more I've realized this. But for Go, we use a Byo-Yomi system, which means we have 30 seconds overtime for every single move. And as long as we play a move within that 30 seconds, we don't lose a period. And we have 5 periods, so we can go over 30 seconds 5 times. But as long as we don't go over 30 seconds, we have an infinite amount of 30 seconds. What in chess, you have a lot of sudden death.
Extension in poker?
I'm not sure about poker. That's I haven't played time settings in poker, but it's the Byo-Yomi system. But the reason I mention it is because in Go, it's all about using as much time as you can and maximizing the time you have to gather information for the position. But in chess, you don't have an infinite amount of time like we do, because every single move you get another 30 seconds. On here, every single move you get maybe 10 seconds or 5 seconds or none. So you're just about getting a good move quickly instead of getting the maximum amount of information you can on this turn. And I'm wondering at the high levels, how do you think that my approach is going to be affected by that? Because I take the think through it process, but it's probably not good for the way the clock works in chess. It's probably more about I need to be able to train my eyes to see it as fast as I can. Which what is your opinion on that?
So, I mean, when you're playing like real standard games, they're going to be like 90 minutes with a 30-second increment. They can be even longer. They can be a little bit shorter, but they're definitely going to be, around the whole game is going to take about 4 to 6 hours. So definitely when you get to like the real high level though, too, even then with those time controls, it is still about the stronger player. Like both players might eventually get to like the right answer in every position and kind of find the best moves. But the stronger players will be able to put their opponents under more pressure and just kind of force them to use more time. And then you hope that they kind of collapse at the end. But in chess, you really do get a long time because you also always get an increment, at least when you're playing like the highest level games. They're always going to get at least like 30 seconds added to their clock. So here, I mean, I guess I don't really remember if you were using, I guess you were using an increment because your opponent has a lot of time at the end of this game. But
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
the settings that we're playing on Le Chess isn't like the settings that are used in like competitive play or anything.
They're much shorter. This would be like a rapid game, whereas like a classical long game would need to be like 75 minutes or something
Oh,
with a big
okay.
command.
So my approach actually, my understanding is actually not correct. It's just it's how I'm seeing it on streams, but that's actually not what it actually is in
Right.
person.
Once the people you're watching on streams, like these title players and everybody else, they've already like this is boringly slow because they don't need that much time to get to the right conclusion. And they like kind of the thrill, like the point of Blitz is you can kind of get where you're mixing into we need to use intuition to solve a lot of things rather than slowing down and calculating.
Okay.
So for that reason, it's not as good for training if you're trying to, find perfect moves in every position. It's incorporating a lot more of the entertainment value.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's why they're doing it on stream, because it's just more entertaining and stuff, not because.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot more games in, and there's gonna be a lot more mistakes, and there's gonna be a lot of like just little micro decisions that need to be made without fully coming to the right decision about certain openings.
Okay. So I was just looking at the wrong crowd.
Long story short, stick with what you're doing. This is gonna be the best way for you to keep training.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Ready for some go?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for some go. That was fun. So yeah, that is the go portion. So we will have to actually change the